Hey everyone! I'm going to be posting a couple of videos today, and they're going to be short skill set videos. And the first one that I'm going to be posting is on the topic of storefront. So the first thing I'm going to say before I actually really get going on recording this is I'm going to say that there's a little construction going on next door, and there's probably going to be a few noises from that, among other things. So just bear with me. Hopefully these videos are going to be fairly informal, but hopefully pretty informational for you. So for your late term project, of course, I'm just going to say this is a student project that came in, and this is really a detailed project, and they got every single probably point possible for this project. But I'm going to be using this as my example for some of these skills I'm going to talk about today. Now, they added a pool and a pergola and a bunch of other fancy things. You're not going to need to do that, right? But this is a really good example of a late term project, okay? So with regards to storefront, some tips and tricks for storefront and windows. The first thing I want to say is that in this project, instead of using families for the windows, storefront was used for this window system. So the reason that storefront was used for these windows instead of using families is that storefront is just really highly customizable when it comes to window size, window shape, and so it's a really great tool to use when you need to get something unique, okay? So unique meaning, for example, this window right here, right? This is on the north elevation of this project. And this window, when you look at it, if I click on it here, right, it goes from the main level and it goes up to the roof, and then it follows that kind of slope of the roof and it comes back down, right? And it has a mullion right here that divides these two panels, okay? So one of the questions that I have gotten is, how do we create these windows that follow the slope of the roof, okay? And so I'm going to talk about that right now. You can use families for windows. Let me just say that, right? It's perfectly fine when you are working on a commercial or a residential project. You need to add just kind of a basic square window, a round window, something not very fancy, right? You can use these pre-made families to add windows. It's great. But when you have anything out of the ordinary, we tend to think that storefront or curtain wall is going to be probably the better choice for adding windows to a project. And it's because of the ease of being able to make it a custom shape, okay? So this project, all the windows are storefront. They are not actually families. Now you're thinking, well, in a residential project, we never use storefront, and that's true. And the idea behind this is not really that we're going to tell the contractor to build this house using storefront. The idea is that we are putting a window in here, and it's going to represent a window, and it's going to look like a window. And then on the window schedule, we're going to tell the contractor what type of window to put in there. So even though we're using a storefront window to represent in this project, it doesn't actually mean that they're going to install storefront, right? Okay. So let's look at this. So here is a north elevation, and this is showing a custom size window, okay? And if I go to my main level, right, here is my project here. And I believe that, let's see, window tile, WT. I'm gonna click on this window. That is, let's see here. Let's grab that one maybe. Oh, these aren't highlighting here. Let's look. There we go. Right there. Okay, so this window right here is actually this window right here. Okay, so when we look at that window in floor plan view, okay, I click on that. It's a storefront window. Okay, it's represented as a storefront window. And when I look at it in my elevation view, of course, there's my storefront window, okay? All right, I'm gonna do a quick little trick right there. Okay, I'm going to do a quick little trick right there. There we go. Okay, so there's my window. All right, if I were to want to create another one of these windows, and I would want to create it kind of next to that window to show you how to create the window and then add that diagonal to the top, I'm going to probably create it in floor plan view and then manipulate it a little bit, okay? So as you have learned from the storefront video, storefronts are a type, or they function very much like a wall, even though they're a window. Okay, so the way that a storefront will work is that we draw them in floor plan view, and we draw them inside a piece of solid wall. And when we draw them, they embed themselves and they create a hole inside of that wall. So we don't need to leave a gap in the wall for that storefront piece. Okay, it will embed itself in the wall and it will create a hole for itself in that wall. We define storefront just like a wall. So I'm going to define the storefront that I'm drawing to go from this level as a base constraint. We'll make it go to this level. I could have also made it go to this level, but I really want to illustrate how I'm going to make that diagonal top. So I'm going to make it go from this level, which is called main level, up to top of beam. Okay, so that's where my storefront is going to be defined. All right. Okay, so let's create our storefront. I'm going to go to the wall command, architectural, and I'm going to drop down and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to pick my storefront type, click. Now my cursor is ready to draw the storefront. Okay, I'm going to define my base constraint as main level. Do I want a base offset? No, so I'm going to make that a 0. Enter. I want it to go all the way up to top of beam. And I don't want a top offset. And I'm going to hit apply. Okay. So now watch what happens over here as I generate my storefront here. Click. Move in the direction I want to go. Let's make this 5 foot wide. Click again. And you see that that piece of storefront here generated itself. Okay. I'm going to hit escape. So when I click on this piece of storefront, right, it cut a hole in the wall. I'm going to delete this. This is something you guys don't know about yet. But it embedded itself in that wall. It made a hole, right? And if I look over here in elevation view, that piece of storefront was generated from the main level all the way up to top of beam. Okay. I could click on that. Oops. I could click on that. And I could say, let's take it up to the next level if I wanted to, which would be this one, and that's called top of wall. Okay, so click. My top constraint could go to top of wall if I wanted. Oop. Sorry about that. There we go. And you see now that goes up to top of wall, right? If I want to take it back down to top of beam, I could do that and you see it goes back down. Great. Okay, so I have my window here and it looks great. How do I take that window and how do I make it so that it extends up to the roof, follows that diagonal, and comes back down? Okay. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to edit the profile of my storefront piece. Okay, so I posted a video on Tuesday that talked about connecting walls that maybe didn't quite go up to the roof by using attached top base. We're not going to do that. That is really only appropriate for walls that want to attach to things like floors and roofs. Okay, that's going to be the tool you're going to use for that. What we're going to do with this storefront system here is we're going to draw it in plan view so that we can see it. And then we're going to pop over here to our elevation view. Okay, I'm going to select it, and I hope that the storefront video that you watched made it pretty evident that selection of storefront is kind of the hardest part of creating storefront because there's so many pieces attached to it. I'm going to tab till I see that dashed blue line all the way around my storefront, and when I click then, that selected the entire storefront piece. Okay, if I had just clicked on that blue piece that's highlighted, I would have just gotten a mullion. If I would have, let's see, clicked on that that's outlining it and it's not dashed, solid, it would have picked the panel. Okay, escape, escape. Same thing, mullion, not the entire piece of storefront. Escape, escape. Okay, now I'm now selecting the wall if I hit the click, escape, escape. So I want to tab, and it says walls, curtain wall, storefront. That's going to pick the whole system. Click. Okay. With that chosen, with that selected, and I just want to say this, if you don't have that piece of storefront selected, then this won't work. The option to edit the profile will not appear. Okay. So if I hit escape right now, escape, you see that edit profile goes away. So I really have to make sure that I have that window selected, edit profile, and when I click on edit profile, we are bumped into a sketch mode, okay? And that sketch mode will allow us to change the shape from rectilinear or just kind of a square or rectangular shape to any shape we want, really. And that's really kind of the key to getting that diagonal top piece, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw, using my draw tools, the shape of what I really want this storefront to look like. So I don't want it to be straight on the top. I'm going to click and I'm going to hit delete. Okay, I'm going to come up here and click on my line tool. And I'm going to click and draw up to the roof. Click. I'm going to follow the roof line. Or I could hit escape and I could click on pick. And I could pick that line, click, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it extended way beyond. That's not what I wanted. Well, the intent with using the pick was just to get the orientation of that line correct. And we'll use our modification tools to trim it and make it look perfect. Escape, escape. I could also have clicked on this line and clicked on the grip and held my mouse button down and done that instead of using the line tool over here. So I've gotten now kind of the shape of it created, but it's a little messy, right? I have all this junk over here that needs to go away. So I'm going to come up here to trim. Click, 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 and I trimmed it to the shape that it needed to be. Escape, escape. Okay. I could have made it go lower. I could have bumped it out. I could have made a little weird knob over here, right? The idea behind it bumping into sketch mode is that I can add any sort of custom shape to this, the profile of this window. And the profile is really what drives the shape of that window, okay? Now, when I'm done, I hit finish. And I'm just gonna hit delete element right here. And there is here we go. There's my storefront. Okay. All right. Now I have a mullion here, right? The storefront video talked about that mullion. I could add another mullion if I wanted. I can come up here to architecture, mullion, click. Oops, sorry. Architecture, I need to add a curtain grid first. Click, and it added a mullion. Click, it added a mullion, right? That curtain grid acts as sort of a placeholder for where mullions are going to be. And I could come up and I could choose curtain grid. Okay. I could also add a vertical one if I wanted. Okay. So that is how you are going to create custom shaped windows using the storefront tool. I think it would be a really good idea for you to go into your model and to create your windows using the storefront tool. I think that your models are going to look a lot better. They're going to look very clean, and you'll be able to create that custom shape up at the roof line, right, that we see in the drawings. Okay, so I'm just going to select this wall again here, this curtain wall. Storefront. Sorry, I use the term curtain wall and storefront interchangeably, and it's because the tool in Revit used to kind of be the same tool. Totally different discussion that was discussed in the storefront video. Anyway, but I'm going to tab again, till I get that whole dashed outline around my curtain wall there, my storefront, excuse me. And I'm going to hit delete and it's going to go away. Okay. I'm going to go back to my main level floor plan. WT, window tile. And I'm going to add a couple more of these windows just so you can see me do it again, okay? I'm going to do one like I just did so you can see it again, and I'm going to create a clear story window that starts high and then goes to the roof line. So I go to wall, storefront is chosen here. If it wasn't, I would drop down and find it. I'm going to define the base constraint to be main level, the top constraint to be top of beam, and I'm going to click, move in the direction I want to go. We'll make this 2'6". Click, and you notice that my storefront is generated over here. Okay, escape, escape. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to tab, tab, click. I'm going to hit edit profile, and I'm going to grab my sketch lines. I'm going to drag these up through the roof just to get the shape of my storefront going. I'm going to use the pick tool here. I'm going to pick the roof line, and I'm going to trim, TR, click, 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 click. I'm going to delete that. Okay, I'm going to hit finish. And there's my storefront. Okay, if I wanted to add some more mullions, I could by using the curtain grid up there. Okay. So that's how you're going to create your windows. And I'm going to next create one that has a sill on it. Okay, so if I wanted to create, let's see, let's go to a different elevation. Let's see, a window like this where it starts a certain distance off the ground, right? Let me show you how to do that. So here, again, I'm in my floor plan view. I'm going to click on wall, and I have my storefront chosen. My base constraint is main level, but I'm going to give a base offset of 4 feet, enter, but it's still going to go up to top of beam. So click, click. Okay, and it starts at 4 feet above the main level here, and it goes to top of beam. Now, I don't see it here on my floor plan, and the reason for that is because my view range is set below that, the 4 foot, right? So if I type VR view range, you see that my cut line for my floor plate is 4 foot. If I make it 4'6", okay, now that window shows up because it goes, the cut for the floor plan is now at 4'6". So anything at 4'6" that is cut will show on the floor plan. Okay, so now I have that created. Let's make it go all the way up to the roof line here. I'm going to click on it, tab, tab, click, edit profile. And I'm going to click and drag these up, click, drag that up. Another trick here, I'm going to use the align tool now to take this line up to the roof line. So I'm going to come up here and click on align, click, click, remove constraint, another modification tool, trim, TR, click, 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 finish, and there you go. Okay, so that's how you're going to create those custom shape windows, and it doesn't matter if it's on the main level, in the basement, if it's up here as a clear story between the roofs, it doesn't matter where it's at. Okay, just remember that you're going to use the storefront tool, you're going to edit the profile to get the shape you want, any custom shape, and you're going to use the base offset to get a sill. So I really think that you should now take all of your windows back out of your late term project and then add them in a storefront.